Hey, it's Kim. Welcome back to Martin-MadeTV. Today's video is all about my quarterly planner update. Hopefully this will be a quick video and I'm going to walk you through what's going on in my planner life at the moment, and also to give an update on the Wonderland 222, which is the one that I started out using about mid-January. I do have a previous video all about my first impressions and when I first received it and how I anticipated using the Wonderland 222. This video, I'm going to show you exactly how I've been using it for the first quarter of 2021. So let's get into it. Alright, so the biggest difference that you'll probably notice between the previous video and this one is that I currently have the planner housed in a different cover. This is the Giglio Charcoal Matte B6 Appunto. In the previous video, I was using a black leather Moterm cover. I did like it, still like it, it's perfectly fine, but I wanted to switch over to something a little more me, and that's what I considered this one to be. So I really do like it, and it fits the Wonderland 222. I have both the planner and the notebook, and it fits in here extremely well. One thing I don't like about it is the fact that my fountain pens, most of my fountain pens, do not fit in the pen loop that's already in here. That's a small negative. Some of them fit, some of them don't. But it's something I can work around, of course. So let's take a look inside. So the inside of the planner should pretty much look the same as it did from that previous video. The layout and everything that I have set up in these front pockets is exactly the same, with the exception of I'll change out this front calendar card, you know, when the months change. But I do have, oh, and this is also my blotting paper that I use for my fountain pen inks. So I do have the planner on the left side and the notebook on the right side. And this has been a year of planner exploration for me. In the beginning, I have a video all about my 2021 planner haul and the planner that I intended to use, which was my half letter discbound planner. I do still have it, but I made a few adjustments when I saw the Wonderland 222. I decided to put all of my scheduling into this planner and then leave the half letter discbound planner as my companion planner, as I call it. So that one houses things like budgets and finance and projects and everything else that's not my daily planning. So I have those two systems going on at the moment. And then there's a third component to my current system, which is my calendar blocking that I do on Google Calendar. And that basically just entails me mapping out the times that I want to devote to certain tasks throughout the week. So I'll set a block for editing, I'll set a block for house cleaning, so on and so forth. I normally set that up at the beginning of the week to plan out how I think I want my week to go. And I like having that in a digital format because I can easily switch and move things around. Whereas if I wrote it down in a weekly spread like one of these, if something didn't happen, I would have to cross it out or move it, which I don't like to do at all. So those are the three components of my current planner system. So getting into the Wonderland 222, I'll take you through, and I am using the index, and I index certain notes that I have in the back of this planner section, which we'll get to. And then we have the 4-year spread. I don't really use this much at all. And then we have the yearly spread, the 2021 yearly spread. And in my first video, I explained that I wasn't sure exactly how I would use this. I'm still not sure how I would use it. I do have a perpetual calendar that I use in my half letter discbound for future dates or future planning, scheduling things, you know, a couple months out. So I use that, and it has much bigger spaces to actually write things in. Something this small, or leaving you, you know, such small spaces in the months, I feel like you can't write much in there. So you have to use some type of a color coding key or some type of symbol system that I don't have set up in my life at the moment. So I'm not using this layout. And then we get into the quarterly spreads. I have not used the quarterly spread for the first quarter of 2021. No surprise there. Again, this is something that I already do have in my half letter discbound planner. And speaking of, I actually do plan to do a flip of that planner coming up soon. So please make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss that video. So you'll see all of the components that I have in that planner and how I use them. So I do have a quarterly overview there that I use for business planning and project planning. So I haven't really put this one to use. I did think that I might use it for meal planning. So I tried that out for the month of April, but I don't think it's going to work for me here because currently the way I meal plan is I'll pick 3 or 4 meals for the week. And then depending on how we're feeling on that day, you know, that's when I determine what meal we're going to make. So it's not always day specific. So that's why this probably won't work. But I do have a few more ideas of how I could use this, and I'm going to test those out as the year goes along. Then we get into my trackers, which I do still use on a daily basis. And I'll turn it around so you can get a better view. Hopefully I'm in frame. Let's see. I started this planner mid-January, which is why I don't really have much filled in for the first few weeks of January. But I pretty much tracked the same things on a daily basis. I had to decide if I was Team Checkmark or Team X. I'm Team X, as it turns out. I prefer the way that looks. And I also do love this layout because I'm able to track certain things that are related to one another in a graph kind of format. And the things that I track are my sleep hours, my energy levels, my weight, as well as migraines. And I track those things in relation to my cycle days because those hormonal issues do affect me, or those hormonal things do affect me depending on where I am on my cycle. So I like to track this to identify any kinds of patterns or anything. I know the amount of sleep I get definitely affects my mood. Depending on where I am in the cycle, affects whether or not I get a migraine, and also will affect how much sleep I'm getting at the moment. So all of those things work hand in hand. So I do like to track that here. And this is the current month we're on, so everything is looking pretty much the same. As you can see, in March, I whittled it down and I'm not tracking a whole lot of things. So for April, I decided to move the graph section up. And then maybe I'll do like a quote or something down here like I did in January. So we have the trackers for the rest of the year. And then I added my balance dashboard that I got from Elmon Paper Co. And it was in my half letter discbound planner haul that you can see that. And I got this from Elmon Paper Co. with my word of the year, which is balance, and the definition for that. So I just stuck that in here at the beginning of the monthly calendar overviews. So like I said, I started this in January. And in that previous video, I did do a flip of these weeks where I attempted to back plan to show exactly what was going on when, or how I could possibly use these layouts. Since that time, I've been using it every day, every week, and I've updated how I've discovered more about how I prefer to use these layouts. So I've discovered that I pretty much just like ink, markers, and some functional stickers. That's about it. For instance, this is like one of my favorite spreads. It's clean, it's easy for me to read, and it just makes sense to me. And I will say that the plan for the weekly layouts for me has always been, I wanted to use it as a memory keeper. So instead of going in prior to the week starting and writing out all the tasks or things that I want to do on specific days, because that always changes and no day is the same, I prefer to use a layout like this after the fact. So maybe on like a Tuesday evening, I'll go in and write exactly how my time was spent for that Tuesday. There are a few things I can pre-plan, like appointments, or Wednesday might be laundry day, you know, things that I know won't change. So I'll go in and pre-plan those things. But for the most part, everything that I put in on these weekly spreads is after it's already taken place. So I'll take you through a few more of the weekly spreads, and they're all pretty much the same way, the same use. And for the January review, so at the end of every month in the Wonderland, you get a review page, and you also get an overview page for the next month. So the way I've been using this, I had been, for all of my 6 goal categories, writing out the progress that I made in those categories, and also a little bit of a summary on how I feel everything worked out with trying to meet those goals. And then for the overview page, I filled in specific tasks or things that I wanted to do in relation to those 6 goal categories, and a little action plan of how I intend to get those things done. And then I just put in a little bit of a decorative piece of vellum I tipped it in myself. So that's how I've been using the review and the overview, but that has changed in the recent months, and I'll show you what that looks like. For the February overview, I barely used it. Nothing to say about that. I just barely used it. And then the weeklies pretty much look the same. This is another one that I really did like. I used some stickers from Happy Planner sticker kits. So just one color along with my ink and a few functional stickers. And that was a really nice spread. This spread I did not like at all. And I figured out it's because of the ink. I'm really just into black ink or really dark colored inks. So that's the reason why I didn't really like this spread. It still functions well and works well enough for me. I just don't visually like it as much. Same for this spread, very similar to the others, as well as this. Just trying out a few things with some washi tape and tracking the weather to see what might stick. So for this February review and March overview, I did the same thing. I tipped in a vellum in the middle just to dress it up a little bit. And I did goal progress on this section and a goal action plan on this section for the coming month. And then this monthly spread for March, I actually really did like. I used some dot stickers from Cloth and Paper, a few other decorative or functional stickers from Happy Planner, and just some ink and some washi tape. And I do really like the way this turned out. And then another just marker and ink spread. And then here is where I tried to get a little bit fancy. I used some more of the colorful stickers from the Happy Planner spread, and I tried to put more information on each day, and it was okay. I wasn't loving it necessarily, but I just wanted to give other things a bit of a try. And then you'll see in the next week, I did the same thing by trying to use sticker kits. And around here is when I realized that I do appreciate sticker kits, but I think they're just not for me. I think I just am not necessarily into them. I prefer functional stickers for the most part if I am going to use stickers at all. So this week looks really nice and I do like it. I'll have the shop links below. This was actually a freebie that I printed out and cut on my own sticker machine. I have Silhouette Portrait 3. And then this was another kit that I used. And you can see by the end of the week, I actually stopped filling things in because I was kind of over it. I don't want to blame the stickers though. I was just over it for this week. This week and I think the following week, which you'll see. But what I started doing at the end of the month for this March review, I actually decided instead of focusing on each specific goal, I wanted to review the month as a whole. So here I have my favorite moments from the month of March. I do have a little blurb about goal progress. I have something about the accomplishments made in March, as well as some challenges faced and a little summary about the month of March. And this type of monthly review, I like a lot better than just focusing on goals specifically. So I think this is going to stick, and that's what I'm going to do in the months going forward. And then there's another vellum that I tipped in. And for the April overview, I stuck to the same goals action plan. So I did write out these 6 goal categories that I have, the tasks that I want to accomplish under each of those categories, and an action plan of how I intend to get that done. For the monthly overview for March, I went sticker heavy again, and I cannot stand this layout. I think the problem I have with it is the fact that the functional stickers that I have from the Happy Planner sticker books are way too big. So I'm thinking I will likely make some myself and see how that goes and see how I like those. But yeah, I didn't really like this. It looks way too cluttered. I didn't even finish filling anything in. It just looks way too cluttered for me. And then like I said, with that last week of March where I kind of fell off and I was like over it, I didn't even fill anything in on this month. And that's okay. Plans change. Things happen. It's whatever. I was still using my dailies. So, you know, I wasn't just like not planning or anything at all. I just didn't come in at the end of the day or, you know, every few days to fill in what actually happened. And I'm okay with that. So this is the current week that we're in. This is actually the second time I'm filming this video. I filmed it at the beginning of this week, so not everything was filled in at that time, but here we are at the end of this week and everything's generally filled in. And what I tend to do is go back later and fill in any decorative or functional stickers that I might have to kind of jazz up the spread a bit. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Time will tell if I feel like doing that. And I keep this Midori page marker here so that I can flip right to the week, you know, if I'm just opening it up. And I didn't do that very smoothly. And that's it. So then in the notes section, that's in the back of this planner, I have the same things as before, my 2021 goals, my goal blueprint, planning out daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, how to accomplish those goals. I have some information about my Techo Kaigi, which is my planner plans for the different planners that I have and what I'm using them for, along with the journals that I have as well. I have some notes on the VDS custom planner that I purchased, and you can see all about that in that video that I'll have linked below. But I took some notes on the couple of options that were available, and I do want to keep this just in case I need to refer back to it later. If I'm going to order another one, I don't know, we'll see. But these are notes that I like to make sure I have on hand and I can reflect back on them whenever I need to. I have some 2021 memory keeping projects in the works, themed work days, planning that out. Oh, and a house cleaning checklist. So this is something I started not at the beginning of the year, week 4, and I kind of fell off with checking everything, but I'm currently doing pretty well in week 13. But these are things that I like to see how often are getting tended to. So especially for those things that we may not do weekly. So maybe like deep cleaning the oven. I want to know, when is the last time I did that? Or when is the last time I cleaned the windows? So I'll come into the house cleaning checklist and check that off as I go so that I do have a point of reference for that. I reserve these pages for cleaning checklists as well. Not sure if I'm going to use them for that. And then this spread, these are printouts that I printed on sticker paper from Peanuts Planner Co. of some video ideas and then video task lists that I check off as I go. And this is a self-care spread that I actually did post on Instagram. Just something that I felt like drawing up. Did a few doodles and colored it in. And I have that in here as well. And that's currently all I have in the notes pages at the moment. And I will say the difference between what notes I include in the planner section and what notes I include in the notebook. The notes in the notebook are things that I may only need for a couple of weeks at a time. Whereas the notes in the planner are things that I definitely want to reference, and I may reference them for the full year. So I know exactly where they are. So things that I'll reference for the full year or for several months will go in the notes section of the planner book. And then things that I only need for a week or a few days at a time will go in the notebook. So flipping into the notebook, this is what I use for my dailies. And opening it up, this is what I use as my inbox. So I have a few stickies that I might need to use or pick up here and there. I also keep some stickies in the back here. Oh, also, I have some markers and highlighters, like a reference section in the back of this one, as well as some pens and inks for my fountain pens. And then I intended to put some washi tapes on this one. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So these are a few reference pages that I have in the back of the planner. So again, this is my inbox, and then the index where I have some notes that I may want to reference later on. And these are intermingled within the daily pages. So I do index them just so that I can find them easier than flipping through all the daily pages. And these first few pages I showed in my previous video, the previous setup video for the Wonderland 222. So that's all pretty much the same. I think where we left off from that video was somewhere around here. And I was really, again, getting a feel for the types of layouts that I do like to use. So this one, I put the whole weekend on one page, which worked for me, and I still continue to do that. And then I also did a review for the previous week, and this is something I have continued as well. So both of these things have shifted and morphed a little bit over the weeks, but there are things that I still do. And I'll show you examples. So this was a monthly overview that I wanted to have because I do like to have the monthly overview in a list format. I like it in a list, and I also like it in a calendar layout. So that's what I was using this for. And I use this vellum from Sterling Ink. And this is for a freebie from the Facebook group. And I have the same for my videos, the calendar layout in a list, and a section for notes. On this side, I have a task list as well as some goals, or the goal focus for the month, which I felt was very redundant because I already have that in the planner section of the notebook, you know, where it had that monthly overview. So this I don't need. So I kind of scrapped that. I also scrapped the task list because I've been using Notion actually as my master task list to have it in a digital format. So here are some other dailies, and I was using the hourly schedule to map out what I think I might want to do when, and some notes intermingled about printing stickers. Again, just some dailies with tasks and a little bit of journaling. I have an order tracker in here, and you'll see this one is filled up, so I did create a newer one. Again, some dailies and a weekly review, and the weekly review pretty much consists of what worked for the week, what didn't work, things I could do differently. Currently, I've shifted it to other questions that I ask myself, and I'll show you what those are. So as we go through the dailies, some of them were just journaling and not much tasks or to-dos at all. Some notes intermixed throughout. And I was just trying out different layouts. Here I have some notes about Bible journaling. I'm using a Hobonichi Cousin for that, so I wanted to kind of map out what I would use each of the spreads for, each of the layouts for. And then another weekly reflection. And then this was like a weekly overview. This is something I was doing in my Hobonichi weeks. And I realized I do appreciate having a monthly overview. So this is something that I have stuck to, but it has changed a bit. So this one is goals focused with a few tasks and some meals involved, but that's not necessarily working for me anymore. But it has evolved and changed into something that is a more functional fit for me, which I'll show you. And then here we have some dailies that are very basic, no journaling. There's like a Bible scripture there, some task lists, 2 days on a page, which worked very well for me. And here I even put Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on one page. I am learning in all of these sample dailies that I'm trying out that I really don't like to have too much blank space on a page. For instance, these 2 pages, there's like too much blank space for me. So I like to have a page where it looks like things are filled in a lot more. So this is an example similar to these pages where it has the hourly and a task list, but I filled it in a bit with some journaling over there, so that I like a bit more. Here's a week 8 review, and I covered what worked, what didn't work, my goal progress and plans for next week, as well as a quote that I included on the spread just to fill in the space. And for the March overview, I did the same thing. I used the printout from Sterling Ink's Facebook page, and I have the calendar in a list format, as well as videos in a list format as well, and a section for my notes down at the bottom. So this single page works a lot better, and it's more functional than that double spread that I had for February. And here's some more dailies where I was using the hourly layout, some task lists. I noticed some highlights of the day. I have some notes here, some sensitive information, and then a bit of journaling. These works fine. But I have come to realize that I don't need this hourly layout necessarily, only for days where I have a lot of appointments going on or a lot of timed things do I like to use this hourly layout. So I do appreciate that in the Wonderland 222, those hours are not dark. The pre-printed hours aren't very dark, so you can write over them and ignore them if you need to. So here I put in a YouTube task list, and this again, this is printouts from Peanuts Planner Co. that I printed on sticker paper and just stuck in here. Oh, and this page is where I put sticky notes that I'm still processing. So kind of like another version of an inbox. And what I'll do here is if I have a sticky note that I'm not finished with and I'm not ready to toss just yet, I'll put it on this page and I have it tabbed or marked with a tabbed sticky note here so I can turn to it whenever I need to. So that's where I kind of stick all those sticky notes. And then here's some dailies. And here's where we get into the layout that seems to work the absolute best for me. So I started this on March 10th, and I really just reverted back to a basic bullet journal layout where I have the tasks indicated with a little dot, and if I completed them, I check them off. And I also have some journaling mixed throughout the days, just a few sentences here and there. I was even tracking my meals for the day. So this works extremely well for me, and I especially like to have 2 days on one page. It fills up the page for me. Like I said, it doesn't leave so much empty space that kind of bothers me visually. And on a day like this, March 12th, where I did have a few things that were time specific, on the right hand side, I placed the hourly schedule for the day. And then on the left hand side, I went in with the same tasks and journaling. And this works really well. So this is something that has stuck and I continue to do and I will continue to do. And then I have some notes interspersed, Saturday and Sunday on the same day, and a weekly review. What worked, what didn't work, this week's wins, and my plans for next week. And this is generally what my current weekly review consists of. So flip through and it's pretty much the same. This bullet journal layout with some journaling and some notes. On certain days, I'll add the hourly layout or the time layout for things or appointments that I have throughout the day. And then this week review. And here is another page that I do have tabbed. It's my master task list. But like I said, I moved this to Notion because I prefer to have that in a digital format. It's just easier to switch things around. It's easier to have it on my phone. Maybe I'm someplace and I don't have my planner with me. So I prefer to use it in that format. It's pretty straightforward and simple, but if anyone would like a video on how I use Notion, just leave me a comment down below. But there's like a ton of them on YouTube. I've also been looking into ClickUp, which is a similar app to Notion. But this is where I have my master task list. And I don't have a lot of things tabbed. I just have, I don't know if you can see it, I just have that one page for the sticky notes. And then I have my master task list tabs. And then my current order tracker I have tabs. But we'll get there. So then these are the following days after that. A week 12 review. Same thing. Some notes and extra sticky notes. And then the April overview, which is very similar or the same as the March one was. Just a calendar list and a list for the videos that I plan to post in April. And then here's where I started doing the weekly overview at the beginning of the week. So I showed you what I was doing. It was more goals focused. And I told you I was doing that in my Hobonichi weeks. But I stopped using the Hobonichi weeks because it's kind of redundant. I don't really need it. So I decided to move that overview here. And basically what I'm doing is filling out the appointments for the week that are day specific. I have a few tasks listed here that are not day specific. So what I'll do throughout the week is if I have some time, some free time, maybe on a Wednesday, I'll fill those tasks in if I can get to them. I had intended to plan out dinners and workouts and weather and all that stuff, but that's not going to work for me. So I scratched that, and then like a note section. And then I get into my dailies, which is the same layout, 2 days per page. Most of the time, sometimes 1 day per page. And this has been working extremely well for me. And here I just have a sticky note with a quote on it that I like, which I will probably move to my commonplace notebook. I have a commonplace journal where I like to keep quotes that I like. And then a week 13 overview. What worked, what didn't work, this week's wins. And this one was room for improvement instead of plans for next week. So basically the same. And then I just filled in the space with a little floral drawing of some sort. My order tracker. And then for this current week, here is the weekly overview. And I keep one of those Midori page flags or page tabs on there as well so that I can flip straight to my weekly no matter where I am in the planner. So then it's pretty much the same. I just have my appointments, I have my task list, and then I have a list of dinners that I was thinking about doing for the week, and nothing else at the moment. This will likely evolve, and maybe I'll add other things, like if I'm expecting some deliveries or just other things that I'm planning for the week. This is a place where I would put that information. Oh, and here's a little page flag with the month of March noted. So before I started this notebook, the intention was to use a page per day. It's a daily notebook. So I went through at the beginning to just kind of mark out where I should be based on each month, to kind of make sure I'm pacing myself and I'm not using too many pages, you know, make sure I won't run out of pages. So that's basically what that is. And then here's the week 14 review. Week 14 is not quite done yet. We're actually on Sunday, the 11th. So this is the place for my week 14 review. I have some sticky notes parked here that I will use once I cross everything off. I may migrate them to my sticky note page if I haven't yet. But my plan is to either use this page for notes once the stickies are moved, like if I have another note category or something that I want to put on this page, I'll put it right there. And then I'll start my week 15 here. So I'll do the week 15 overview and then go in for the days there. So that is how this system is working for me and functioning. And it is working for me and functioning very well at the moment. So those are the things that are working. The things that aren't working are, like I said, the goal or the quarterly overview in here because I'm not using them. That yearly spread, because it's really not enough space, I think, to use it efficiently, for me at least. But these are things that I kind of knew going into it. So those are the things that are not working at the moment. But everything else in general is really working. And I'm really enjoying having my daily schedule in this system and having my companion planner, as I call it, and my VDS, the half letter disc bound, and also doing the time blocking using my Google Calendar. So that 3-part system is really working very well for me for 2021 through the first quarter. So that's all for my first quarter update. If you have any questions, of course, please leave them down below. And if there's anything I failed to mention or anything, just drop me a comment or question down below and I'll get right back to you. And anything I mentioned in the video, I'll try to have linked down in the description box as well. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much again for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.